What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another video. If you don't know who I am, that means you're new. I'm Mark. What's good with y'all? Go check out my other videos. Check them out. But first, stay on this one. So, welcome back to another episode of Debunking Anti Gunners. It's been a good little bit, you know. I actually can't remember when the last time I did one was. I'm sure it wasn't super long ago. However, I'm also sure it wasn't my last 4 or 5 videos ago. So, who knows, right? But let's get right into it on this episode of Debunking Anti Gunners. The government would just put the military on y'all. I put on you all because, you know, just because I'm from Florida doesn't mean everybody, you know, is going to, whatever. All right, so here's a couple of problems with that. This was an argument that was made to me by somebody who was claiming that the Second Amendment essentially is useless. And I disagree very much so, and I'm gonna go into why I disagree with this and why this is such a false claim that unfortunately we do see among the anti-gunner crowd. Let's get right into it. No more beating around the bush. All right, so for starters, that's the entire point of the Second Amendment. That is the entire point of the Second Amendment, is that if a government is to go tyrannical, we can fight for our rights. The entire point of it. Why was the Second Amendment created? Well, because what did our founding fathers just finish doing before writing this? Oh, well, they just finished fighting for their rights with their firearms, fighting off a tyrannical government for their rights at that. It doesn't seem too complicated or too convoluted to me. All right, so excuse me. That's number one. That's the entire reason why the Second Amendment was created, is to fight off a tyrannical government. If we're dealing with a government that's willing to put the military on its own citizens, we are dealing with a tyrannical government. No other way to say it, which validates the Second Amendment even more. It's almost like when people say stuff like this, they don't realize that in all reality, it's not debunking the Second Amendment, it's validating the Second Amendment more and showing for why we should have firearms more like what the military currently has. Now, some people, that's going to be a hot button issue. I mean, I can do a video on that as well, but I really don't think that's, you know, important enough at the moment to do a video on. But they don't realize that their argument kind of debunks itself, because we're a free nation. If the government is going to go tyrannical and put the military on its citizens, do you not think that the citizens should be able to protect themselves? Do you not think they should have a fair fight? No? Okay, so you're on the dictatorship tyrannical side, is what it sounds like then. That's the entire reason why the Second Amendment was created, is to fight off a tyrannical government. And once again, if a government is going to sic its military on its civilians, yes, that is a tyrannical government. Now, on top of that, what most people don't realize is that, you know, besides the fact that we had just won and fought off Great Britain, right? We'll go ahead and fast forward. We'll fast forward from that, because, you know, some people might make the argument, oh, well, firearm technology isn't what it is today, you know? Yeah, sure. But then again, it doesn't specify in the Second Amendment whether, if firearm technology advances too far, people can't have these guns. It doesn't specify that, because the founding fathers knew there would be advancements in technology, whether it's mechanical advancements or technological advancements. We've seen both in the firearms industry. So I don't see where any of that still matters. But moving on from that, right? What most people don't realize is that countries have fought off our soldiers before without a lot of training. And this doesn't mean that we have a bad military by any standard. We have the strongest military on the planet. However, what this also means is that given the right chance, the right tools, the right terrain, and some heavy balls, you can do what you got to do. And we've seen that in Vietnam. And a lot of people are going to comment, well, that's not the reason why we left. That's actually half the reason why we left. The terrain itself, it was way too difficult to find the Vietnamese. Let me see here. We had trouble even we had trouble taking them down anyways. On top of that, how many there were. There's actually several reasons that is solely around the fact that we would have had trouble completely taking them down as to why we left. If I'm not mistaken, when you look it up, you'll find 6 main reasons. 3 of them are about how difficult it was fighting the Vietnamese because they had the tools to defend themselves. They had the terrain. They knew it well enough, so that way they knew what they could do with it. They had the people to do it, and they had balls. And while I'm not going to sit here and act like, oh, Vietnam #1, I'm not doing nothing like that. And I have a feeling I'm gonna get a strike. I'm gonna get a strike just for making that joke. But regardless, whatever happens, happens. Nothing along those lines. However, it's very clear that people having firearms and having that fighting chance have prevailed multiple times throughout history. So the argument that the government would just put the military on us pushes us more towards our Second Amendment right. It makes us want to cling more towards it. It makes us say, okay, well, come and try to take it. You see what I mean? But that's one of the stupidest things ever in the end to even say is that, oh, well, they'll just sick the military on you. One, if the government is that demented enough to do that, we've definitely gone past the line of tyranny. You're proving that we need the Second Amendment. Not that the Second Amendment will do nothing, but that we need it. Now, next, and honestly, I feel this is a bit more important. Well, not more important, but more logically sound to those who, at least are veterans. All right, because I know some veterans watch my channel. A majority of veterans I know, at least, and I would like to assume this is a majority of veterans as a whole. However, I'm not going to speak for everybody. I'm not a veteran even. So I'm not going to sit here and act like I am. I'm not. However, I'd like to say that, a majority of the veterans I know, so I would like to assume a majority of veterans overall, if they were called by the government to go kill American citizens, I have a pretty good feeling they would step down. Now, of course, there have been casualties. You know what I mean? There have been casualties. Unfortunately, some of them might have been American. That's just what happens in war, like actual war, But I have a pretty good feeling that a majority of people, or a majority of veterans at least, a majority of people who were active in service would definitely just quit their job if the government told them to start attacking the American people. A lot of people who serve, I will say a lot of them do just serve just for a check, you know what I mean? Just for the free housing and the check, of course. However, a lot of them also do serve because they care about their country. They care about the people in their country, the fate of their country, and they don't want it to go in that direction. Do you really think if the government is to forcibly go to that direction, that those soldiers would want to continue to be part of the United States military? No. And if you think that, that's absolutely insane. A lot of people, what they don't fully comprehend here is beyond the fact that, oh, well, soldiers are just regular people. Soldiers, they have fought for the Constitution. Those who have actually been out in combat, they have fought for the Constitution, for our rights, for us to remain free. Think about that. They have fought for us to remain free. That was one of the biggest purposes, one of the biggest objectives of their mission. What makes you think that suddenly they're just going to be so willing and okay with killing fellow Americans? Where people even got this idea is beyond me. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. And truthfully, it's kind of a disgusting thought if you think about it, because you're accusing everybody who's willing to fight for their country now, or fight for the United States at least, of also being willing to kill every other American who disagrees with what the government says, which is far from true. It's honestly disgusting to even think about that people have these thoughts and are like, yep, that seems accurate to me. That's 100% correct. And, I have a really also upsetting feeling that a lot of people are going to try to say, well, it's not like, the German army fought against it when Hitler went to power. Yeah, well, that's more so because of the fact that they agreed with him. He wasn't tyrannical to them. He was tyrannical to other countries. I don't know. There's a lot of arguments that I have a good feeling people are going to try to make, but all of them are also going to be debunked because none of these other arguments they can make compared to America and American values and our value for freedom. With that being said, I think that about wraps it up for this video because in the end, one, the government isn't going to, sick the military on its people because even if it were to, a majority of the military is going to immediately turn on the government because a lot of the military cares more about the American people than their job. Hate to say it to you. But beyond that, even if they did try to do that, we still have the Second Amendment. We still have more than a fighting chance, which is what we need. That's the issue against this argument. All in all, do I think the government is going to sick the military on its people? Probably not. Truth be told, they're more scared about the fact that we have the Second Amendment than anything else, which is why they try to constantly infringe on our Second Amendment rights. But even if they do, once again, I'm really not too concerned. I'm 100% convinced the American people can get it handled. You see what I mean here? With that being said, I think that about wraps it up for this video. You know what I mean? Pretty decent little episode of Debunking Anti Gunners here. I know it's a little all over the place, but with such a bold and crazy claim, you kind of have to be all over the place with it too to, not just like match its energy, but give an actual answer to the question here and to the statement overall about whether it can even be proven true or not. Which overall, once again, let's go around and start asking a ton of veterans, hey, if the government goes tyrannical, are you gonna, you fighting for the government or are you fighting for the people? I bet you a majority of them, if not all of them, will say for the people. And no, this isn't a Morgan & Morgan commercial. For the people. Sorry. I'm in a good mood, as you guys can tell. But with that being said, y'all make sure to like, comment, subscribe, share, hit that bell. When you hit that bell, hit all. And whether or not you agree with me about this, about whether or not the government would even have the balls to try to sick the military on the American citizens, whether or not you agree, go ahead and comment down below why or why not. And then make sure to check out all my other videos. Y'all make sure to stay legal, stay safe, stay dangerous. Have a good one, y'all. Peace.